There's no point in life. We might as well comment on this video.
You're freaking me out, man.
Don't worry, I'm not filming it.
That's cool.
Otherwise, camera. Now. I now have less than 60 seconds to give you, the audience, a personal statement regarding something of import to myself. I can tell you about my music, my poetry, my stories, or my art as long as it does not take over 60 seconds. As I have already taken about 1/5 of that time, you may keenly deduce that I'm not going to tell you about any of those things. If you are one of my classmates, I'm assuming that you ran up against one of two problems. A, you couldn't think of anything so important to you as to require 60 seconds to explain, or B, anything that is important to you is given an almost arbitrary representation in a measly 60 seconds. With the latter scenario, the extremely modern art of summarization is brought into play. At no other time in humanity's history has the summary been given such a dramatic and underlying importance. A parallel as the computer industry's race towards higher levels of compression. In a world of so many people and so much information, summarization has become the constant state of the individual. We secretly despise the long-winded and superfluous. It is considered almost rude to make a movie longer than 2 hours or require a personal statement longer than 60 seconds.
Hi, excuse me. You had a question about those blind ones? I was going to. Okay. What's the...
Sure. All right, now, Dad, I'm going to give me all that on and I will. Everybody stop. Turn around.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Now get smaller. Okay, good. Perfect. Do it one more time. Thank you. I now have less than 60 seconds to give you, the audience, a personal statement regarding something of import to myself. I can tell you about my music, my poetry, my stories, or my art, as long as it does not take over 60 seconds. As I have already taken about 1/5 of that time, you may keenly deduce that I am not going to tell you about any of those things. If you are one of my classmates, I'm assuming that you ran up against one of two problems. A, you couldn't think of anything so important to you as to require 60 seconds to explain, or B, anything that is important to you is given an almost arbitrary representation in a measly 60 seconds. For the latter scenario, the extremely modern art of summarization is brought into play. At no other time in humanity's history has the summary been given such a dramatic and underlying importance. A parallel is the computer industry's race towards higher levels of compression. In a world of so many people and so much information, summarization has become the constant state of the individual. We secretly despise the long-winded and the superfluous. It is considered almost rude to make a movie longer than 2 hours or require a personal statement longer than 60 seconds.
Action! Okay, now hold it straight up and down. There you go. Examination of phenomena as a defense against the pure emotion of fear. Keep tight hold and continue while there's time. Now, counter to the previous syllogism, tricky one. Follow me carefully and maybe for comfort. If we postulate, then we just have that within unsub or supernatural forces, the probability is that the law of probability will not operate as a factor. Then we can take it that the probability of the first part will not operate as a factor, in which case the law of probability will operate as a factor within unsub or supernatural forces. And since it obviously hasn't been doing so, we can take it that we are not held within unsub or supernatural forces. In all probability, that is. Which is a great relief to me personally. Which is all very well, except that we have been standing here spinning coins they don't know when and all that time. If it has been all that time, I don't believe either one of us is doing more than a couple of gold pieces, up or down. I hope that doesn't sound surprising, because it's very unsurprising. This is something I am trying to keep hold of. You see, the equanimity of your average tosser of coins depends upon a law, or rather, a tendency, or let us say, a probability. At any rate, a mathematically calculable chance which ensures that he does not upset himself by losing too much nor upset his opponent by winning too often. This made for a kind of harmony and a kind of confidence. It related fortuitously ordained into a reassuring union which we recognized as nature. The sun came up about as often as it went down. And a coin turned up heads about as often as it turned up tails. And then a messenger arrived. We had been sent for. Nothing else happened. 92 coins turned up heads, 92 coins turned up heads 92 consecutive times. And for the last 3 minutes in the wind of a windless day, I have heard the sound of drums and flute. That's my entire monologue, really. What else am I going to say? This way, over here, ladies and gentlemen, is a bunch of crappy art. Here we have a crappy sculpture. Notice the crappiness of the form. Here we have a crappy heart. Fuck the heart. And here, an avant-garde crappy heart. Here is an expressionistic crappy heart. This is a semi-realistic crappy heart with a surrealistic overlay. And over here we have other examples of crappy hearts. This man did not get laid. Now, as we can see, the crappy heart motive is carried through and through, obviously looking at playing cards for inspiration. And so now we have another crappy heart and another crappy heart. And you know, all of our hearts are crappy at heart, really? All of our hearts are pretty crappy anyway. So, look at this. It's a felt crappy heart. We feel it, the felt. We feel it because it's felt, you see. It is felt as a crappy heart. We experience it in feeling the crappiness of the heart. Am I making any sense? All right, stop it. Be hard, but crappy regardless. Anyways, whatever it may be. Cut. Company and the fact that they employ small Chinese children to, with bloody fingers, stitch in that little logo that you're wearing right now.
The shirt got me laid once.
Really? That was a really boring response. 38% of African American children are born in poverty. Huh? How do you feel about that?
I don't think it's a good thing at all.
Really?
Kind of caught me by surprise there.
How do you feel about the fact that the United States has the highest rate of incarceration of any of the industrialized countries, and that the rate of incarceration is 7 times for African Americans than it is for white Americans? What do you think of that?
Wow.
Huh? How does it feel to be? And how does it feel?
I think that it's all because of the man. He's trying to bring people down, and you can't incarcerate people because of like race. It has to be just.
Do you play sports or something? Articulate, man. Come on. Be more specific. Give me some real feelings. Don't give me the man bullshit. Give me some real. give me some emotions or something.
All right, I think that there still is racism.
I mean, what are you gonna do about it?
I can't do shit about it.
Exactly. That's the American way.
Are they?
You're gonna go to McDonald's and get a hamburger and go into the movie.
It's like a race. What? It is a race.
What's the question? What's the question?
The question is, how do you feel about the fact that any carbonated soft drink like Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola digests before your body can get a hold of it 50% of the nutrients of any food you eat along with it? So if you had a banana, a really good banana with lots of potassium, and you drink a Coke with the banana, and 50% of those nutrients are sucked out of you because you drank that Coke with that banana, how does that make you feel? Are you still going to go buy a Coke? Of course.
Hell yeah.
If you have the
Why not?
cholesterol.
It's the American way.
Right. Okay.
Spend it and just get rid of it.
All right.
Who cares? You make it and then it's gone.
Good for you.
I think it's.
Don't you?
He's a menthol.
There you are. There you
I
are.
do a lot of drugs,
Yeah?
and I love them.
Really?
Drugs are a good
So
thing.
you're a backdoor man to society, you know? You're sneaking around and bopping the boss's wife because you can get away with smoking drugs all that time, you know? But you don't actually fight for their legalization. You just, you know, go around the back door and
I
bop the
support it.
boss's
I don't
wife
fight for it,
and
but I
make a
support
divorce.
it. It's better when it's not legal. I support anyone who supports
It's sexier when it's not legal. Is that what you're saying?
it.
Would the legalization of drugs keep you gentlemen from getting laid? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes,
Is that
legalization
what you're
just makes
saying?
me a square like everybody else.
Right. Right.
Doing drugs
Well, how do you feel about that? Do you think legalization of drugs will keep you from getting laid if you were a drug user?
Oh, are you a drug
I went to
user?
the ceramics lab last night, my friend.
Yeah.
They sit out there at night.
I think it would take away from the fun of it.
I wonder if they
Fear
play
of
a
getting
drum
caught.
like the guy
Yeah, the
who did
sexiness. It's almost erotic, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the
Yeah.
whole.
I met the
You
guy
know?
who did
That's
that.
all right.
I think it would kind of decrease the drug use though.
Playing drums, singing and
Or if
shit.
they made it
Drug on
legal.
drug.
What do you think
I'm
about
not that
that?
stupid, but
I don't know. I'm not supposed to think. I'm just
Oh,
supposed to
okay.
feel. There's nothing to live for, so hit that like button. No one will ever know.